Caitlin Clark is going to miss tonight's game, and she's got a groin injury. I have been banging the drum online and on here for the last 2 weeks saying there's something wrong with her legs. There's something going on. Is it the nagging quad injury? But it's something to do with the lower half of her body. It is a groin injury. Now we've got an idea of why she's struggling from long range, where it requires, some real push.
Caitlin Clark is sidelined after an unexpected injury, and chaos has officially taken over. But that's not all. DeWanna didn't just stir the pot, she flipped the whole table. Fever fans are furious. Tension is rising, and drama is flying faster than ever. What really happened behind the scenes? Why is Dana reaching her breaking point? And how did Caitlin's injury become the center of it all? Buckle up, this ride has no brakes and a whole lot of madness ahead.
And that is the news that Caitlin Clark is out with a groin injury. Now, if you guys have been watching the Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark play over the past 3 games, it is very clear that Caitlin Clark is not feeling like Caitlin Clark. She has only made 1 3-pointer in her last 3 games, and even just last game, she only had 6 points. But it wasn't only her performance on the court that was worrying fans, it was also just her demeanor, her energy. It felt like something was wrong. She wasn't hyping up the crowd like she normally does.
First, it was the hip, now it's the groin. At this point, Caitlin Clark's body is sending more warning signs than a storm alert system. This isn't just a string of bad luck, it's beyond coincidence. It feels like every game turns into a battlefield, and somehow, Caitlin is always the one taking the hits. It's starting to look less like wear on tear, and more like a pattern that's impossible to ignore.
Caitlin Clark is out again with an injury, which is the worst thing you can hear if you're a fan of the Indiana Fever, and really if you're a fan of the WNBA, because obviously Clark is the engine that makes the Indiana Fever go, and is the single biggest driver of interest in the WNBA, and it's not close. And anytime somebody is out of the lineup, you get concerned, especially when it's Clark, obviously, considering she had already been injured earlier this year, and is now out with what is being dubbed a left groin issue.
The Indiana Fever are officially in trouble. You know things are rough when the medical staff knows Caitlin Clark's daily routine better than her teammates. It's only the early stretch of the season, and she's already dealing with a second injury. For a team that hoped to rebuild around a once-in-a-generation talent, it's starting to feel less like a comeback story and more like a high-stakes survival challenge in the WNBA.
Caitlin Clark out yet again with a left groin injury. Caitlin Clark will be missing tonight's game versus the Los Angeles Sparks. The venue will be open. Out with a left groin injury. We go from a quad to a quad to a groin.
Here's where things start to get really not just the injuries, it's how they're happening. When you watch these games closely frame by frame, like a detailed film study, you begin to notice a pattern that feels less like tough basketball and more like targeted aggression. Game after game, Caitlin takes hits that go beyond normal contact. Hard elbows, aggressive shoulder checks, and physical play that raises eyebrows. It's starting to feel less like competition and more like she's being singled out.
The Indiana Fever just lost a really tough game against the Los Angeles Sparks, and it comes back to the 4 things the Indiana Fever always have trouble with: missed layups, missed free throws, interior defense, and rebounding. That is why the Indiana Fever lost this game, and that's why they cannot be a championship team, in my opinion. You have to be able to get stops, you have to be able to rebound the basketball when you do force stops, but there was some positives in this game as well that we have to get into. Kelsey Mitchell was spectacular. I love to see her furthermore breaking her shooting slump. She had 20 points today on 44% shooting from the 3-point line, so you like to see her have 3 back-to-back games in a row where she's having over 20 points. She's totally in her groove.
Then there are the referees who seem to be watching an entirely different game. Either that, or they've taken a vow of silence because the missed calls are piling up. Obvious fouls are ignored, hard hits are brushed off, and what looks like reckless contact somehow gets labeled good defense. This isn't just a case of letting them place it starting to look like letting them punish. You'd think the league might take notice when its biggest star is forced off the court with another injury, her second in just a month, but instead, there's silence, business as usual, as if this is all just part of the learning curve. But the only thing really growing is the number of players taking aim at Caitlin Clark one game, one hit at a time. It's almost as if she disrupted the status quo just by being great, and now some can't stand it. The spotlight shifted, and instead of stepping up, some are trying to push her out. If jealousy had a strategy, this would be step 1. Target the rookie, wear her down, and hope she fades. and sadly, it's starting to have an effect.
Her pre-game routine, she was doing some things differently. Some fans also noticed that she had her upper left leg taped during a couple of those games. So there's a lot of things going on, a lot of things pointing to the fact that something wasn't right. And I have to be totally honest with you guys, I am not surprised by this news at all. I was just having a conversation with my fiance last night, and I told him, I was like, I think Caitlin's hurt. I'm not going to be surprised if sometime soon the Indiana Fever pulls her and sits her for a few games. I think she is still battling some sort of injury. And less than 12 hours later, the news dropped from the Fever. But it's a tough blow not only to Caitlin, because we know that she loves to be on the court. It's a tough blow for the Indiana Fever because that is their superstar. Whether she is playing to the best of her abilities or not, they are still a better team with her off.
Caitlin Clark's toughness isn't the problem. She could take a hard hit and still drop 25, but even the strongest players have limits. When every game feels more like a wrestling match than basketball, something has to give. This week it was her groin, and this isn't just an Indiana Fever issue, it's a WNBA issue. When your biggest star is constantly taking uncalled hits, that's not intensity, it's a warning sign. And for the league to stay silent, that's borderline negligence. Fever fans are on edge, watching games like it's a suspense thriller, holding their breath every time she drives to the basket. Will she land safely? Will someone knock her down again? Will a ref finally blow the whistle? Right now, every play feels like a gamble, and the stakes are getting too...
Dealing with an injury, not looking like herself, the game is already out of hand, yet we still put her back in with 45 seconds left. How much patience do I need to have before I can start going nuclear? Because I am getting very frustrated with what I am seeing. To everybody that said Caitlin Clark didn't look like herself, salute to you. For everybody that said Caitlin Clark might be going through something, salute to you. Clearly, you all saw what that person that stands there like this can't see.
It's gotten so absurd, you'd think there were betting odds on which part of Caitlin Clark's body might give out next: ankles, shoulders, you name it. At this point, it feels like we're watching injury bingo unfold in real time with a superstar's career on the line. And yet, the league's silence is deafening. Theories that once sounded far-fetched now don't seem so crazy. Is there an unspoken plan to wear her down? A quiet strategy spreading behind closed doors titled, How to Stop Clark Without a Whistle. Officials are missing the most blatant calls, plays that defy logic and basic player safety. These aren't tough basketball moments. They're dangerous hits that go completely unchecked. Getting a flagrant foul for knocking Clark to the floor seems harder than getting a parking ticket on the moon. And still nothing. No response? No action. Just a growing sense that the league is failing to protect its biggest draw.
Do look at it, and you take a look at the injury. Stephanie White spoke about it, so let me give you the latest. This all just came out, so this is all as I speak. Basically, Tony East, shout out to him. This is the video of Stephanie White discussing the Caitlin Clark injury.
Caitlin, when did you guys find out about this groin injury, and how much of an absence do you expect from her beyond today?
Yeah, late last night. I think it's very much a day-to-day thing, how she responds to treatment. I stay in my lane and let our strength and conditioning and our physical, our AT staff do what they do best. But yeah, I found out late last night, and then we'll treat it day to day.
The cat is out the bag, dog, for Indiana Fever star Caitlin Clark. It's being reported that she has suffered a left groin injury and she is out. Now, we all knew Caitlin Clark's health was a major issue. She has simply been playing some of the worst basketball of her career, and a lot of people, even myself, has been pretty vocal about Caitlin Clark and this shooting slump. A lot of people was blaming it on the front office. That's why I didn't even go down that line and produce content blaming it on the front office. There had to have been a reason why Caitlin simply wasn't Caitlin, and I told y'all, sources was telling me that something was bothering her.
So Caitlin Clark's out, y'all. She's injured. We don't know what it is. I think they said it's a groin or some shit like that. But guess what? It's not the end of the world, y'all. Only reason the WNBA will suffer is because they don't know how to market their game. Because they rely on being a one-trick pony. It's just like if you're a content creator and I make one viral video, but after I go viral, I stop making videos. Problem with the WNBA. They don't know how to make their league pop. You don't know how to celebrate their league and their players. See, Caitlin brought everybody to the WNBA because she has a rare skill, and nobody in the WNBA has.
Can we stop treating Caitlin Clark like she's some type of villain? The hate that she gets from the other players in the WNBA is unmatched, and I don't understand it. All she's trying to do is put the WNBA on the map and raise it to another level, which is all she has done since she's gotten into the league. Ticket sales are through the roof. Sold out arenas because of Caitlin Clark. The ratings are through the roof. You've got more eyes and more people watching the WNBA now more than ever because of Caitlin Clark. And y'all steadily want to speak bad on her name. Y'all want to flagrant foul, try to fight her, mess her up in the games. Not regular basketball fouls. These are blatant, flagrant fouls trying to hurt this girl.
Now we finally know what it is, and it is a groin injury. Guys, I don't know what the situation is, what the hell they doing in practice, but we do know Caitlin Clark has been defended pretty aggressively throughout this season. These WNBA women is not taking any breaks with Caitlin Clark, and it's starting to get disturbing. I just did a video yesterday showing you guys the referees not calling certain fouls, allowing Caitlin Clark to constantly get hacked up and down the court. This is sad, man, and I'm hoping she get a speedy recovery. Maybe she sit out a game or two. But guys, we got the Commissioner Cup coming up. We got the All-Star game coming up. This is the second damn injury Caitlin Clark has suffered this season.
Honestly, it's just a matter of they're playing on the road versus at home right now. They're very good at Cambridge. Caitlin Clark is very good at Cambridge, shooting about 45% on her three-pointers at home versus, I think, 6% on the road. It's been a very bad shooting season for Caitlin Clark away from home. They need their offense to travel, and it has not. So it's a point of concern if the Fever can't figure out how to turn this around, especially because they're a little bit shorthanded too. You know, they're missing Damaris Dantas for the AmeriCup, so they're a little thinner than you might have expected for a team that supposedly added up so much depth during the off-season. They're smaller, they're not rebounding the ball particularly well, and it looks great when, like, the crowd's behind them and the momentum is going at home, and then the minute some adversity hits, like, there's just a lack of punch. So